Hi, 93. So today I wanted to read an essay that I had written um, a few years back and had published in Thalamic Union. It was published on April 21st, 2020. It was entitled "There's Nothing Special About Meditation." Eihei Dōgen, I think I'm pronouncing that right, also known as Dogen Kigen, 1200 to 1253, the founder of the Buddhist school of Soto Zen in Japan, and one of the most important and influential Zen masters, preached the omnipresence of Buddha nature, Tathagata Garbha, that Buddha nature, one's true and enlightened nature, is present and available to everyone, everywhere and at all times. Dogen Zazen meditation is not an attempt at enlightenment so much as enlightenment in and of itself. For him, the simplicity of just sitting, maintaining mere presence, is enough to tap into one's innermost perfection. As Dogen said, to model yourself after the way of the Buddhas is to model yourself after yourself. This is a stance of radical self-authentication, a view of enlightenment which, though quintessentially natural and undeniably simplistic, is ultimately beyond description, being rooted in the purity of practice and not in conjecture or philosophical rhetoric. Hence the Buddha's noble silence, Bodhidharma's insistence that the true and profound Dharma is, quote, a special transmission outside the scriptures, not depending on words and letters, end quote, and, as we read in so many koans, the wordless responses of Zen masters to inquiring pupils. One Zen parable that illustrates the omnipresence and immediacy of Buddha nature is a mondo, or dialogue between a disciple and teacher, involving the Zen master Hotetsu. In this dialogue, a monk approaches Hotetsu, who is fanning himself, and asks the following, quote, "The wind nature is constant. There is no place it does not circulate. Why do you still use a fan?" End quote. Hotetsu replies, quote, "You only know that the wind nature is constant. You do not know yet the meaning of it circulating everywhere." End quote. In his commentary on the parable of Hotetsu, Dogen states, quote, "To say that since the nature of wind is permanent, one should not use a fan, and that one should feel the breeze even when not using a fan, is not knowing permanence and not knowing the nature of the wind either." End quote. This is itself a somewhat cryptic response to an already cryptic parable, but it remains telling. I think that what Dogen wants us to understand essentially is that Buddha nature is inherently available all the time, but just because it is there, quote unquote, and that we quote unquote have it, doesn't mean that we comprehend, fully appreciate, and integrate it into our lives. Zazen is thus like the fan, a utilization of latent potential. By simply sitting in meditation, we better comprehend and indeed integrate Buddha nature. Through practice, we move from philosophical speculation to spiritual affirmation. In a single moment of sitting, Buddhahood is actualized. Meditation for spiritual perfection. This is the next section. Teachers from other traditions have, in so many other terms, echoed similar notions, with the primary idea more or less being that one is already spiritually quote-unquote perfect, but has yet to really remember or actualize quote-unquote that perfection. Hints of this concept can potentially be inferred from the writings of esotericist Aleister Crowley. Crowley railed against the idea of restorative reincarnation in his commentary on Liber Alva Legis, saying, quote, "The idea of incarnations perfecting a thing originally perfect by definition is imbecile," end quote. This conception of existence, Nietzschean as it seems, assumes that each individual human life, in its own uniqueness, is already quote-unquote perfect, and in need, though not necessarily want or will, of nothing beyond itself. Crowley developed Thelema, a spiritual and philosophical system which, like Buddhism, often sees its practitioners engage in meditation. And like the pupil of Dogen, the pupil of Crowley may, one should in this regard follow his philosophy to the T, see meditation and spiritual practice in general, not as a reshaping of something presently unsuitable for a certain purpose, in this case enlightenment, but as a reminder to wake up, a cue to approach life with excellence and live out the perfection already and always resident within all human beings. So yeah, that's the essay. I hope you enjoyed it. 93s. Thanks.